everybody. Good evening. And for tonight, okay, before I proceed, well, it's been a while since we had our live stream. I know. I think the last time was, I think earlier this year or late last year. I already forgot. And I always want to bring things that are very relevant to, to to us in general. And then, so for tonight, we are very, very blessed because we have this amazing person that we have invited. She is a mommy tantrum specialist. So, um, what if what does that mean? Well, let's ask her later. And then she is also a mental fitness coach and the founder of the Zen Supermom system, the Zen Supermom program. And then later on, we will get to know more about that one. But first, while waiting for her, she's already in the background. But while waiting for her, I will give you a quick preview of her podcast, which is a gold mine, if you ask me. So please check it out after this live, of course. Please check it out. All right.
Hi, my name is Alena. I'm your mommy tantrum specialist, and I'm the founder of the Zen Supermom system. And this is the first podcast to help you increase your stress resistance so that you can become a Zen Supermom and simply do it all while staying calm and happy. Welcome to the Zen Supermom podcast.
I'm on mute. Okay. Hello again. So we have here now our guest. Hold on. I'll just let's add some vibe to it. Add some mood to it. Hello. Hi, Elena. Good
Hi, Sassy.
afternoon.
Thank you. Good evening to you.
So, thank you so much for guesting in tonight's live stream. I think this would be the last live stream, of course, for this year, and this is a special one because I have been listening to your podcast, I have been watching your videos on YouTube, and well, my followers on Facebook, on Instagram, I'm sort of like an open book when it comes to my mental health. So they sort of know how I struggle with my own demons, sort of. And your and I have this what do you call this one? This heart that hopefully I will become a better mom, or I want to be the mom that I wish I had, something like that. Not to, not saying that my mom was a bad mom, okay? But I just want to be a better person for my kids. And your podcast really helped me, navigate, sort of, find my way on how to do things. And I know it's not enough. That's why later on I will really be signing up to your session because that is an investment that I am really willing to take, because that is not just for me but for my kids, for my husband, for my family, and for my kids' families as well. So the trauma should stop with me, something like that. So enough of me rambling and all that. Yeah, so thank you so much. Welcome to tonight's live stream.
Thank you, Sassy. And I appreciate you being so open with your followers and online in general so much, because I feel like there's more of that real talk missing. So often as moms, we feel the pressure to be perfect and show just Insta perfect photos and just say how great it is that you're a mom and how you can do it all without breaking a sweat and looking gorgeous and feeling great. And I know how it felt when I became a mom. I just felt like, oh my goodness, I'm such a failure and I'm so terrible that I'm losing my patience with my daughter. And I felt so guilty. And I felt like, how come nobody's talking about this? Am I the only one who's broken? What's wrong with me? How come either all these moms seem to have it all figured out? Or then there are the other moms who are yelling at their kids, even in the middle of the street, no matter like how many people are looking, and they just don't care because they want them to listen. So I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, like where do I go for help? So I think this topic should be talked about much more. And I'm really happy to have this opportunity to bring some of that awareness and maybe even like compassion to all those moms who are
Mhm.
struggling, just like you are feeling sometimes, like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Right.
Yes.
So thank you.
After that, a bit of yelling, because you just stuck an open fuse, and then you blurt it out, and then after that, oh my god, what did I do? Something like
Yeah.
that. How can I undone this? Why is this happening to me? So for you, Alina, what is a calm mom? Is it like someone who just for some people they may say that you are spoiling your child because you're so chill. So for you, what is a calm mom or
Well, I
calm
think
parent?
it's very personal question, Sassy. Like, what is it for you? Like, I don't think you want to spoil your two kids, right? But you don't want to yell at them either. So where do you find the balance? Like, what is a calm mom to you?
Okay, so that is something that I need to think about. Yeah. Hmm.
Right?
Because.
Like, so often we have all these patterns from our parents. And exactly as you said, I'm not here to blame my mom. I
Mhm,
know she
yeah,
did the
yeah.
best. I
Mhm,
loved her to death. Like, she was my and still is my role model. There were just few things that I knew that didn't feel right when I was a kid.
mhm,
And no matter how hard I tried not to do the same with my daughter, I ended up doing exactly the same thing, which was like mind blowing for me. Like, how stupid can you be? You know that this hurt you as a kid when your mom was yelling at you because you did some mistake or you had an accident. Like, how come I yelled at my daughter when I knew how it is to feel to be yelled at, right? So there
mhm,
was this tension for me. I wanted to do better than my mom in some aspects, and I couldn't. And
mhm,
this is where basically that's the story of the Zen Supermom, how I call it. Because I
mhm,
still wanted to be a supermom. I still wanted to have it all. Have a beautiful family, healthy, loved child, while I do what is my passion, what is my
mhm,
work, why I feel I was put on this world, while doing things that just make me sparkle, that made me happy just because, for
mhm,
no other reason, like my yoga or playing piano. I wanted to do it all because I know when I became a mom and I tried to cut these a lot of these things off just to be a mom, be the best mom I can be, like so focused, I was burning out. It
mhm,
does not work to be just a mom. It does not work to do just family and work. Like, that's a burnout recipe. So
mhm,
I knew I wanted to be a super mom and do everything, not just for everybody else, but also for me. And at the
mhm,
same time be zen, like not lose my patience, not
mhm,
put my anger, frustration, and stress onto my daughter because I knew it was not her fault. Right.
mhm,
So
mhm,
that's how I answer that question. But I think it's very personal depending on where you as a mom, where you are at and
mhm,
what experiences you went through even before you were a mom. It's, yeah,
mhm,
you have to answer for yourself.
mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Make
That is.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really, really. But what is the role of our childhood trauma in our parenting journey to be specific? Like, why? How does that happen? Um.
Yeah, this was one of my biggest aha moments as a mom
Mhm,
because I always thought that as a parent, I need to have all the answers. I need to have the best strategies to make sure I raise my daughter well with good values and good attitude so that she's like a nice, decent human being. And I thought that this was my primary role as a parent, teach my daughter. Mhm.
mhm,
And then I realized when she turned 1, 2 years old, and I started yelling at her, losing my patience with her, blaming her for little things, or like being upset with her for a really long time when she made a mistake. I just couldn't let it go. She was asking me for a hug, crying to get that consolation. I just couldn't do it. I was mad at her. And then I realized, this is backwards. Like, how am I supposed to teach my daughter to manage her big emotions, to not have her emotional tantrums if I cannot manage mine? So
Yeah.
where are my tantrums coming from? Like, I'm the adult. I should be the role example, the role model on how to do that, how to stop yelling and how to keep being patient even when I'm hungry, tired at the end of the day. So what prevents me from doing that? And I found the answer by accident, and it was through my trauma training, because already before I became a mom, I was a professional coach, and I did some trauma certification therapy, because I realized that many of my clients were just stuck. I couldn't help them as a coach. Just ignore the problems, just focus on the future and be your best version of it. Like that rara, like cheerleader talk, that didn't work for most of my clients.
Mhm.
So I went into a trauma certification, and only there I realized, holy moly, like, what? Me, who had such a happy childhood, and like, yeah, my
Mhm.
mom was yelling, but whose mom doesn't? But that's a childhood trauma? Are you kidding me? Like, childhood what? Trauma? And that's where I learned that trauma is not just the shock that happens. Like,
Mhm.
so many people, I thought that trauma was like if somebody would be violent with me,
Mhm.
would abuse me, or there's like a natural catastrophe or a war, something that like shocking events happening. True.
Mhm.
That's called a shock trauma. But on the other side of the spectrum is what's called developmental trauma. And that's the opposite of it. It's too little too soon, too little of
Mhm.
unconditional love and being seen and appreciation and respect for too long, basically
Mhm.
entire childhood. And that's what I had. I was the good girl. My mom,
Mhm.
with her stress, with her anger, pushed me to be a good girl. Like, never say no, never get angry, always help her, even ideally before even she tells me to do something, always do it exactly as perfectly as she does, so that finally she says, she sees me, at least for a while, in the middle of her crazy stress tornado, so that at least I can get at least some breadcrumbs of love and
Mhm.
attention. Otherwise, I didn't feel worthy of any of that. So that is a developmental trauma. And that's what needs to be cleaned up, because that's actually what keeps jumping up at your kids when you get stressed, when you feel that other people push your boundaries, just like your
Mhm.
parents didn't
Mhm.
respect you, made you feel not good enough. Like, I don't care how much you're trying, but not good enough. If your kids make you feel this way now, by not listening to you, saying no, hitting you,
Mhm.
saying like talking back to you, they trigger all those feelings that you had back then when you were 3, 4, 5 year old and your parents didn't give you enough respect. That's what jumps up now still
Mhm.
at your kids. This is the link between the childhood trauma and the anger that you cannot control still today.
Mm, okay.
That's like the short version of it. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, yes. So, to sort of give another example, or to expand the example that you have given. So, for example, one of my sons, whenever I tell him, okay, please stop doing that, please stop, and then okay, please let's do something else instead of this one, and then he just keeps on doing it, and obviously you don't know how you should react. Should I yell at this child, or because I know in the back of my mind, if I yell at this child, he will be scared, and then he will follow through fear, something like that, right? And then if you just let it slide and something like that, then especially if other people are watching, they would say that, she's being too soft, she's spoiling her child and something like that. But sometimes when you're in that space, you feel so triggered in two separate things. My child is not listening to me, and then there's this societal expectations that I should be this
Judgment.
kind of,
Yep.
yeah, I should be this kind of mom, especially here in the Philippines. I'm talking as a Filipino. You know, there are a lot of social media posts coming up that I am so proud that I was raised with, spanking and all of those stuff, something like that. That generations nowadays are being so cuddled, sheltered, something like that, that they find it not good. So yeah, so what you're trying to say earlier, that um the trauma is not just all those big waves of negative things that are coming in, like as what you've said, violent things, or any sort of the usual trauma that we are seeing on the media, you know So there are also some things, micro moments in our childhood life that, you know, even if uh, I think in one of your episodes, your example was that you got you still have a high score, but it's not that really high, and then you were told by your mom that you should have this one, something like that.
Yeah.
So in a normal conversation, it's like, okay, yeah, I should try my best. I should try harder, but it's also a little, sprinkle of developmental trauma. So yeah.
It is. The developmental trauma is really drop by drop. You can imagine like water dripping on a rock. And then you come to some beautiful nature, like cave, you go for a visit as a tourist, and you can see how these drops of water has actually formed and reshaped entire masses of stone. Like that seems so solid and huge. And like, how is that even possible? This is what
Mhm,
childhood trauma does to you. It's a
mhm,
drop by drop by drop constantly. You cannot even find one moment. Maybe you see few of them, but it was throughout your entire childhood, never feeling good enough, never feeling respected, heard, never feeling seen by your parents, never feeling being accepted for who you are, always trying to, like, you felt like you had to fit into a form they created for you. And to what you talked about earlier, Sassy, I hear it very often, and it's a struggle that I was going through as a mom as well, choosing between, well, do I parent my child through this authoritative, kind of like you have to obey because I'm a parent and I know the best, and like
mhm,
I don't want to hear anything, just do it
mhm.
and do it now,
Follow. Just follow. Blindly following
just
everything.
follow. And then there's the other extreme, which is like, yeah, do anything. And you can draw on the walls and jump on the sofa. It's okay if you fall down. We take you to the hospital. You're a boy. You need to, like, for me, none of that is correct because none of these kids feel seen, heard, and loved. None of them will grow up in a healthy way loving themselves. None of them. For me, it's not either or.
Mhm,
For me, there is another way. There is a way that when you as an adult think back about your childhood, and I hear it in my sessions with our Zen Supermom clients every day, just think back about all these situations when you felt you didn't get enough of love and appreciation and like the recognition for who you were as an individual as a kid. You did not get enough of that feeling from your parents. How was it that you wished they treated you? Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you get a bad grade at school. Maybe you just like, yeah, you were playing and it got kind of like out of control and something happened without you wanting. How did your parents react? And how would you love for them to react now being a parent and knowing like that it maybe looked like a huge disaster back then when it happened when you were a kid. But when you look at it from a parent perspective, it's actually like, yeah, come on, happens, right?
mhm, mhm,
How is it that you would have loved to be treated? Right? Because I'm not saying you should have no boundaries with your kids. Just let them hit you, let them call you names, just be a nice parent,
mhm,
just zip
mhm,
up your anger no matter how whatever they are doing, just don't yell at them, smile and be happy. No, I will never tell you that. I'm not saying that you should swallow your anger because that's
mhm,
the other risk, right? I'm talking a lot to moms who are yelling at their kids, but then there's also a second group of moms who are not yelling because they know it's bad. So they
mhm,
zip it up, they swallow that anger inside. They're extremely resentful. They are still angry, but they don't let
mhm,
it out. And then sooner or later, they're diagnosed with some autoimmune disease or even with
mhm.
cancer, and they get sick. And
Okay.
there's a lot of research done already these days on the connection between your level of stress, your stress hormones, and how it impacts your body's ability to heal and
Mhm,
resist any of these diseases. And women who are people pleasers, who are victims, who are perfectionist controller, just like let me help everybody else and but forget about myself, they are much more likely to become ill. And how is that going to help your kids and family, right? If they are going to have a mom who's sick. So it's not either or for me. The
mhm,
recipe is healthy boundaries with love. And that is
Mhm.
possible only after you clean up your own trauma and your own pain, so that you react to your child and to the situation as it is, not as a 3-year-old kid who's been triggered
Mhm.
because this little kid is not listening to you and they.
Emotionally, something
Yes.
like that. Mhm.
Emotionally, we get stuck at the age when we receive the least love. And the anger that jumps up at your kids now, if you
Mhm.
yell, or the anger you feel, even if you don't yell, that you swallow it inside and try to keep it inside, that anger that you feel in that moment, if you cannot control it with your logical brain, that means it's a trauma response, and it goes back to the time when you felt it the first time with your own parents. Yeah, exactly.
So, for example, I felt so unloved during my when I was 4 years old, something like that. So, me very reactive to my kids during that time was the 4-year-old me feeling stuck. Is that right?
That's why we yell, right? Because if
Yeah.
you would be able to stay in your brain, even though your kids are doing something, you would be able to react. Like once you calm down, like you find a way how to motivate your kids, how to turn whatever task into a game, so that or like a competition, like I bet you cannot put your shoes on faster than me, let's do a race, right? And suddenly everything is going faster, right? In the morning, for example, right? Once you're not triggered, you can come up with super smart, innovative, playful, fun solutions on how to persuade your kids, how to self motivate them to do what you want them to do. The problem is when you're not feeling okay, that's when your trauma is much more likely to jump up at them. And then you react like a 3-year-old, because 3-year-old does not know, does not have any of these smart parenting strategies in their head. The 3-year-old, when they are not happy, they will just yell,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Or
Mhm.
hit. So that's what happens. That's what needs to be cleaned up, so that you do not lose your the ground under your feet. Hmm?
Mm. So,
Yay, me
anyway,
too.
and
Alright. Zen
that was
Supermom here in the live stream.
yeah.
Well done, Sassy.
The rescue, well, as a person, this is just my usual thing. Like, I will not ask help for anybody. I can do it all. I'm good. Something like that. But as what you have said, calm parents who are sort of healed are welcome to ask for help, or are very open to ask for help. And that really hit me, like when you said something like, the victim voices, and yeah, I am that something like that. And yeah, go on.
I used to have those victim voices as well, and it's completely normal, because the secondary benefit we get from that is it gives us this feeling of importance. Like, my situation is so heavy. Look, everybody, feel sorry for me because it's so heavy, you have no idea. And at least getting recognition this way. So, realizing my trauma is I never felt good enough. So let me feel good enough and let me get some recognition and appreciation, at least through being a victim. Like, look, everybody, how much I'm suffering. It's so freaking
Yeah,
heavy. So I was holding on to that victim identity myself.
yeah, yeah.
Look at what it's
I have
doing to
been.
you. And there is one thing, like, okay, asking for help. And yeah, ideally before you feel resentful and angry already, so that whomever adult is there that can help you, that you don't blame them for not helping you sooner, for not reading your mind. Just clear, open communication when there's still time. But then also, I'm working with lots of moms who don't get that much help, who cannot, realistically. They are single, divorced, expatriate moms living abroad. There's no family, like no grandma you can call when you wake up on Monday morning and your kids are sick. Like, just too bad. You have to suck it up by yourself. You're sick while your kids are sick. Too bad. You still need to get up in the middle of the night. But this is where that victim voice is making it so much more difficult, even than what the situation is outside. I would really encourage and invite everybody to start listening to those stories that you have on your mind on a replay without even realizing it. How you talk about yourself, how you talk about others, whose fault this is, and how bad
Mhm,
this is.
mhm.
It starts here, and that's the mental fitness piece of what I do. Because even once you heal your childhood trauma and that old pain, you still need to check and rewire that auto loop of
Mm-hmm.
stories that you have in your mind in order to be really like calm no matter what.
So what?
Perfectly imperfect.
Yes, embracing the perfectly imperfect. I remember in one of your podcasts you said, "Let go of the dream and accept what is." And if you're a perfectionist or you are an idealist, oh wait, no, this is the dream. This is what I really wanted. Something like that. And why am I not reaching that? Why is it not in my hands right now? I'm doing everything I can. So yeah,
But I also want to say I'm not against dreams. Like I feel you
yeah.
need to have a vision that you will drive towards. That's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely perfect. Where I was advocating when I was sharing this example was like stop looking back. Stop looking at the
Mm-hmm.
crossroads that you were at like half a year ago or 1 year ago, wishing it would be different now. Like that's gone. Stop wishing your kids were unicorns who never have a meltdown, who never say no. Like that's not going to happen. Stop wishing for an ideal husband if you had a childhood trauma and your parents were pushing your boundaries and they were your first bullies. So you married another narcissistic bully. Stop wishing he was different. Like you married a narcissist. So deal with it, like face it and make your choices because you always have a choice. This is, again, going back to the victim mentality. The victim will throw the hands in the air saying, I can't help it and it's bad. And I'm just like, I just have to watch this train wreck happen. And that's not true. Even if you're in a marriage you don't like, even if your kids have some kind of like physical challenge, there's nothing you can do about it to heal that. Like you cannot heal your kids. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot change your husband who's a narcissist. But what is it that you can do? Because there's always something you can do. And it usually starts by you rewiring that story in your head that tells you, no, bad, 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 bad. And let me cry and feel sorry for myself and like terrible. Or let me escape to my dreamland. I just wish I married this prince that I met when I was 18. And I'm getting lost again in your head. Like, no, this is what it is. Suck it up. See what it is that you can still do. And you can still keep your dream. It just might look different going down the path.
I love it. I love it. So, we have comments right here. One from Mommy Teen. She is from Babyville. She said that healthy boundaries with love for our children. She is one of
That's
the
it.
calm parents that I know. You know. And then we have here Mommy Jeanette. She is what do you call this one? She is one of my friends in postpartum heroes, wherein it's
Excellent.
a group where we help mothers deal with their mental health issues.
It's so important. Thank you, ladies, for doing this service. That's amazing.
And to hi. Mm. So what makes the Zen Supermom system different from all the other healing techniques? I know that we only have 1 minute, but I feel like there are still questions in my head that I want you to answer, and most of the moms that are listening out there, would want to hear. So if it's okay
Yeah,
with you, continue for a little while.
sure. We can do. Yeah, I'm happy to answer because this is what I was looking for when I was that momzilla, that's mommy tantrum specialist, that having mommy tantrums every day. That's what I was looking for. Parenting techniques didn't work for me because the advice, like I love a lot of the calm parenting approaches or attachment parenting. We do Montessori education at home. So I love a lot of these parenting strategies. But the moments when I became angry, when I like lost it with my daughter, got out of my head. I couldn't access it. And then I felt so guilty that I lost my patience again. So parenting didn't work. So I'm not a parenting expert. I will never tell you what to do with your kids. Therapy,
Mhm.
like classic talk therapy, never
Mhm.
worked for me either. And not for my clients either, because there you just go talk about that childhood pain. They will ask you about all the details of everything that ever happened in your life. And you end up with just being a huge pile of all the pain that you ever got, but the therapist will never give you any practical tools on how to start healing it and making it go down and less overwhelming and less painful. On the contrary, it usually becomes even bigger the more you visit them, and it takes years.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Therapy
yeah.
doesn't work either.
Mhm.
Mindfulness, self-care, me time, Like, yeah, of
Yeah.
course you're calmer after you have taken some time off, but then the moment you come back home or your kids come back from school and they do something and you're like, ah, you're back at it. Like, didn't work either.
You lost it again.
This is exactly.
Mhm.
So that's why I realized, only thanks to what I was applying myself. So from that trauma therapy, from healing that childhood development to trauma, I realized it's helping me being calm mom. And then
Mhm.
second thing I was doing also as a coach for my clients, and that accidentally I realized it's helping me be a calm mom too, was that mental fitness practice. So that's why I connected the two. And I started talking to moms like me who wanted to stop yelling at kids. And we tested it in all different kinds of scenarios, in all different kinds of family situations and troubles, and with kids of all ages. And it worked for all of them. So this is how the Zen Supermom system was created. And that's why it's unique, because it helps in just 3 months. You not
Mhm.
only stop yelling at your kids, but you heal all of that childhood pain. You rewire your brain so that you stop beating
Mhm.
yourself up and you stop telling yourself those victim stories. And that's when you can become that sense of mom, as I call it, that you can in any situation. So yeah,
Wow. So in just 3 months,
that's
you
the
can be a
average.
better
But
version.
moms who get that even faster. Yeah, but
Mhm.
on average, we see it happening for everybody in 3 months. Yeah.
Mhm. I have seen in one of your posts, the PQ score that is being posted by your clients. So, what was can you explain to us what is a PQ score and what is the importance of that one?
Yeah, thank you. The thing is, a PQ score is one of the measurable indicators we get inside of the mental fitness practice. The mental fitness is not something that I developed myself. There's actually a very extensive research and like studies. There are studies done, including how the brain works, including neurology, and it's called positive intelligence. Positive intelligence with the abbreviation PQ.
Mm-hmm.
And they have measured, even in brain waves before and after, they have developed the system of rewiring that self talk and all of these blah blah voices in your head. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how they started measuring the progress, like before and after.
Mm-hmm.
PQ score is actually like a free test, a
Mm-hmm.
free online assessment that anybody can take to measure what is your current ability to stay calm, even in the middle of a highly stressful situation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, through consistent mental fitness practice, then you can increase that score in a very fast manner. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is in the middle of all of this like woo woo and trauma healing and like how can I know it's real? Like this is a research based technique
Mm-hmm.
that it's a study that was done on 500,000 participants. It's at the base of the research behind that brain science, and that's the power that we use inside the Zen Supermom program as well.
Right. So, what if I plan to sign up? What are the necessary preparations that I need to do for myself before I sign up to your sessions, to your one-on-one sessions, and what do I have to do, or what do I expect from all those sessions for those 6 weeks?
The thing is, you cannot just sign up. It's on invitation because I want
Oh,
to make sure that you are a good fit and that we can help you because we have 1 month money back guarantee.
that's
And so everybody who I invite inside, I am the gatekeeper. You need to talk to me first. I am going to ask a lot of questions to check the root of your trauma, check the root of your anger and stress, and to be able to assess if we can really help you. So that when
mm,
I invite you inside, I know you're going to have a blast. I know you're going to heal. I know that in 3 months, you'll be like, oh my goodness, this was the best time of my life, and that you will get the results you want. Yeah. So
mm,
the first step I would say is to check. We can put in the mini book, right, Sassy?
yeah.
There's a resource that I prepared that is free. It's
Mm-hmm.
a mini book, yeah, that's based on the name, you guess what it is, where I concentrated all of these descriptions and basically a self-diagnosis that you can do to find out if it would have the potential to help you too. So, and with that mini book, there's also a training. So if you don't have
Mhm.
much time, you just skim through the mini book, you read it, it's very quick. And if that
Mhm.
resonates with you and you want more details, you can watch the training that comes along with it. And in
Mhm.
that training, you will hear what the next steps are if you feel like, oh my goodness, my mind has been blown. I get the goosebumps listening to you, or you start crying because finally the puzzle pieces are clicking together and you're, oh my goodness, this is why. When you feel that way, then there's also a way in the training how that tells you what your next step might be so that we can proceed with that personal check.
Okay, okay. So it's not just, okay, give me your money. We'll something like that. No, you need to assess first because there is a money back there.
No, because I understand most of the moms that come to me, they have already tried. They have already spent money and time on those parenting courses, on the classic talk therapy, EMDR, CBT, timeline therapy, hypnosis. They tried it all and none of it worked. And so they are burned out. They're like, how can I trust you? How do I know that this is really going to work, that you're not just making it up? That's why
Mhm.
we have the money back guarantee. Because I cannot tell you, just by, I don't even know who I'm talking, who's listening right now. I cannot promise it's going to work for you too. So I
Mhm.
want to talk to you first and do my diagnosis so that based on the experience of clients that we worked with that got all of these amazing results, I will be able to assess if we can do the same for you too.
Okay. We have one comment here from Mami Tien, also from Babyville. Listening to our victim voices maybe is also one way of rechecking or reassessing ourselves and our feelings.
I would recommend listening to all of your voices. Ideally, if you love journaling, write it down. Even if you don't, I recommend it to everybody, and I tell everybody, from me as a hyperachiever who wants to do things super fast, it's too
Mhm.
slow to write down, so I don't do it too often. But then at least listen, start being really aware, stop taking it for granted that that's the truth. Like, oh my goodness, my husband just, yeah, our washing machine is broken and the water was coming out. He left for work. I was working here and I found out only when it was too late and the water was all over our kitchen floor. And my first immediate reaction was like, how come he left? He didn't tell me. He didn't clean it up and blah, blah, blah. And then the second, because I've been doing this practice for 3 years now, so I caught it like the next second. I caught it and I was able to shift the story and
Mhm.
I was able to figure out what happened. And it was actually not my husband's fault. He didn't see it. He left. I did not create this tension in my marriage for nothing just because my victim story was highly activated, right?
Mhm.
So I would recommend for everybody, this is an amazing practice and you're going to get lots of insights. Start listening to those stories, especially in the moments when you feel like there are negative emotions bubbling inside of you.
Mhm.
Start listening because there are things going on and it's not always the fault of the people around you.
Yes, yes, journaling, she said. And you know, the victim voices, people pleaser, hyperachiever, something like that. Well, I am guilty.
Controller, perfectionist, judge, hyper
Hmm.
rational, trying to figure it out logically. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Classic.
I, I,
We all
I
have
am,
them. There's
I
nothing wrong.
am guilty to that. If there is a signboard that says, do you feel this way?" I think I am perfect in all of those things. Something like that. Um, uh, like for example, if I would just share just a portion, whenever I have always been triggered when when someone is knocking through my door unannounced. I am always triggered because of the fact that my house is a mess and I live it as it is. Not really, but for most of the time during the day, aside from the work that I have, I believe that the house is the only place in the world where my kids can, do anything, everything. And then if I be too strict with all of those things, then where will they put all their toys and something like that. But whenever someone knocks into my door unannounced, I feel so triggered. I I am so
So,
bothered.
what are the voices telling you in your head right at that moment? There's a knock
Um,
on the door, and tell me what's in your head.
you are a bad mom because your house is a mess, something like that. And then, what will other people say when they see your house like that?
Hmm.
And then, by listening to your content, it hit me. Wait, Why am I thinking all of those things? And then I'm going to shift. Are they really thinking about that, or am I just the one thinking about that? Maybe
And
that's
even if they are, even if, look, this is the story of my hair. I just to mention to everybody, I'm not sick. Like, this is my choice. I shaved my head 2 years ago when I realized, like, oh my goodness, I healed so much. I don't care. I don't care about other people's expectations. They can have them. That's none of my business. They can think that beautiful woman looks this and that way. I don't care. It's their stuff, not mine. I no longer feel obliged to fit into
Mhm,
anybody's category on how beauty looks like, how a woman of my age should look like or not. Like, this is me. I love it. And so I will keep doing it. And I don't care what other people think. It's their
mhm,
stuff. I'm not going to try to convince them or persuade them that they're right or wrong. It's just, this is me and that's them. And
mhm. Yeah,
right. So
you know,
somebody is knocking on your door unannounced. All right, well, come in. Well, you didn't announce, so this is what what my house
yeah.
looks like. Are you feeling comfortable? Great, come in. Is that making you feel uncomfortable and judgmental? Well, then maybe goodbye and come up next time when you announce yourself at least 1 day in advance, right? Your choice.
And
Nothing to
even
do with me.
even until now, when someone tells me, "Okay, we will go to your house," and then ah, I would say, it's their choice that they will go to my house. You
And
know,
they're not
they
living
have
in your shoes. Like, if they make any judgments about what mom you are or the house caregiver you are, like, that's on them. Realize that more than about you, other people's judgments about you reflect on them. You can see their stuff coming up. You realize it's the same when you are judging other people.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's not about them.
yeah.
It tells
It,
you something about you. What does it trigger in you that they are
it's
this
the
or
voice
that
in your
way?
mind telling that, look at that
Flip the
mom.
mirror.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, care to share a simple calming exercise for moms or dads to practice, especially when the need arises? Thank you.
Great question. Start listening to those voices in your head. And no, sometimes what I get the feedback from moms, it already helps them to know it's their own trauma jumping up at the kids. When you lose your patience, when you start feeling like, it's coming, notice what is coming. Notice this is your own inner child who's feeling disrespected, unheard. Notice
Mm-hmm.
it's caused by those voices in your head who are telling you it's their fault and this is a difficult kid. That's already one of the first steps that helps. But yeah, in order to clean it up fully, you need to do some work, because this is not a DIY. Trauma healing is not a DIY that you can just read about it. Here's your 3-step quick process and you'll be healed forever. I'm sorry, I can't give you that because yeah, it takes a little bit more work.
I really love that line of yours. Trauma is not a DIY. As a person who loves to DIY a lot of things, that really, you know, and
Sorry. If it was, there would be no traumatized people in this world. There would be no wars. There would be no crime. There would be no pain if it was that easy. It
yeah,
doesn't have to take years, though, as in classic talk therapy. That's why I devise something that is super fast, because your kids are growing up so fast, right? You don't have years to heal. You want to do it fast. So, yeah, that's the best and fastest I found. If you guys know about anything better and faster, let me know. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm always looking.
you know what? I just want to give a big kudos to some of the best episodes that I have heard from your podcast. One, the very at the top would be the relationship that you have with your parents. Like, you got traumatized by how you were parented by them, but it's not really their fault. It's a generational trauma. So that really hit me like, oh, yes, because the parents of my parents just came from war, and that's a lot of trauma, and they need to shed a lot of trauma from them. And then, and that aha moment that you said in your podcast, wherein you said they really did try their best, but they did not have the tools that you have right now. And then, that's right. And that made me feel so, and there's this forgiveness, from the, you now let go of those things, like, yeah, they tried, and you know what, um um and this is just your podcast. It's not yet the one-on-one session, so I can only imagine what would be, what what deep trenches of my soul will be, unleashed and cleaned up after the sessions. And for those who are watching right now, especially if you're in the Europe, um, please do check out Alena. She has her website, alenagomesrodriguez.com. She has her YouTube channel, her podcast, Zen Supermom. She is everywhere. So please check it out, because whenever I listen, like, okay, this is another thing to clean up. Yeah, another thing to think
I'm
about.
sorry.
And that's a 20, 20, 30 minute thing of, ah, okay. And then after that, while you're washing the dishes, while you're tending to your kids, you're looking back, and then you're assessing, yes, this happened, so that is why I am like this. So what do I need to do to fix it? Something like that.
It opens with the awareness. If you're not aware of what's going on, you cannot fix it, you cannot help it, you cannot heal it. So that's why the podcast is a lot about like casting light, shedding light finally on things that, as you opened this talk as being like in the darkness or being the dark side. We don't have dark sides. It just, let's shed the light into some corners with spider webs to clean that up so that you don't have to be scared of it anymore, and it just feels good inside as well. Yeah.
That's really good. It's really a blessing getting to know you. Mommy Jeanette said, "Someday my kids won't ask me why the house is a mess. They will ask why I am not present."
And this is again finding your own balance, right? I'm not saying like live in a total chaos, because chaos is not stable. It's not safe for the kids either. They need some organization, some routines to feel safe, right? But find your balance in it. And I'm sorry, I would love to keep continuing this conversation,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah,
a session
yeah.
in like 10 minutes, so I'll have to run. Any
Yeah.
questions or anything?
So, any parting words to the parents out there?
I would just send a lot of compassion, because I feel like the moms that I work with, and if you've been listening for this entire time to this conversation, it would tell me that you're doing a great job. Even though your judge beats you up in your head, oftentimes the fact that you are looking for ways on how to get better and how to support your kids with more love and less anger, that tells me you are already an amazing mom and they're lucky to have you. It's not your fault how you got here, but it is your responsibility to clean it up. So take all the resources that are free that you can get your hands on, increase your awareness, and give yourself the credit. Give yourself some pat on the back how well you're doing, and celebrate all the progress that you have already done. I'm sure that all the ways that you are already doing better than your parents. So celebrate that progress too. Okay. So I'm wishing everybody happy holidays and fingers crossed.
We have a live webinar.
Yeah.
Feel free
Well,
to invite everyone.
to the end. This is the last event, last live event of the year. It's going to be this Thursday. You're all invited.
Thank you so much, Alena. And I'm sure that a lot of people who is watching right now, and who will be watching later on the replay, would be so intrigued on all of this. The Zen Supermom system, Zen Supermom podcast.
Ask questions.
Yeah, just feel free to ask questions on the comment section, and then Alena will just bump into if she has time later on. And then please go check out her YouTube. Please go check out her podcast, and her podcast is on Spotify, Buzzsprout. Yeah, just go look
Everywhere.
yeah, she's everywhere. So she's also on Instagram. So please follow her there, and it's it all starts with you, as she said.
Thank you, Sassy.
Thank
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
thank you. Merry
Bye.
Christmas. Bye.
Christmas.